Hello everyone. I'd like to talk about some basics of probability because we're going to get into a pretty cool part in the course now where we're going to be using statistics. And probability is the foundation for statistics. You've probably seen some of this stuff before, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. So what is probability about? Okay. It's really about measuring the likelihood of events. Okay. So what is an event? Well, an event is something that can happen in a model that we have. So we tend to think of something called an event space, which is all of the possible outcomes in a model. Okay? So as the very simplest example, let's say that we are tossing a coin. So our event space, so tossing a coin, and in our model, our event space is, well, it either comes up as a heads or a tails. Okay. So there's only two possible outcomes in this experiment. Now, like I've said in the past, this is a model. This is what we've chosen to think about. Of course, there's other things we could look at, which is how greasy did the coin get, where exactly did it fall. We're not worried about any of that. We're just saying, okay, our event space is heads or tails. All right. Now, it's really helpful when we're talking about probability in event spaces to think of the event spaces as taking up an area called a Venn diagram. So I'll just draw a Venn diagram for this example real quick, and we'll talk about it. So Venn diagram is always a 2D area, and we can divvy it up into the different events. So I'll put a head on here, and I'll put a tails on the right side. And what we do is we divvy the area up in proportion to how likely the thing is to occur. You can think of it as if you were going to throw a dart at random, and it was going to hit somewhere in this rectangle. That's the likelihood of getting a heads would be the likelihood that your dart would hit the region that the heads takes up. And same for the tails. Okay. Now, and this really is the heart of probability. So what we say is that the probability of an event occurring, we notate as P of the event. And we say equals to, well, in this case, it would be 0.5. So what a probability is, it's a proportion over all possible outcomes that our outcome will end up as a heads or a tails. So it's a proportion of outcomes that end up with a particular event being true. So we think of them as proportions. That means that they have to be between 0 and 1. So that's important. If you're writing some code and you end up with a probability that's greater than 1, there's probably a bug somewhere. Okay. Same. If you end up with a negative probability, there's probably a bug somewhere.